This message didn't find you by chance, chosen one. God sent you here for a reason. That unshakable feeling you've carried, something you could sense but never quite name, is about to be confirmed in the deepest part of your spirit. The calling upon your life and the blessings that have begun to arrive have felt heavy for a reason. God does not give heavy-duty vessels light blessings. The weight you feel is proof of the monumental mission heaven has placed in your hands, one that few could endure. This time, the directive is clear: a demon must fall. Not the storybook monster with horns, but the shadow embedded in systems, the chains in the unseen realms, the subtle force that whispers for you to stop. Heaven has trained you in silence. Now the battlefield stands before you. And here's the unexpected twist. Elon Musk, the man who built rockets to break Earth's gravity, is unknowingly in alignment with your mission. His next move, his words, or his innovation will be the flare in the night sky, the signal for you to advance. As he dismantles obsolete empires and walks where the world says impossible, you too will shatter this demon's grip. His quest to expand human frontiers mirrors your divine command to free what is bound. Chosen one, time is no longer on pause. The war drums have begun. Step forward. This is the battle you were born to win. To help you completely comprehend why this blessing feels so heavy and why you have been selected to bear it, let's break this down into 7 pieces. Before we get started, understand that this message is a heavenly confirmation for the selected ones, not merely content. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to everyone who has been helping. We are aware of your loyalty, presence, and support. I really appreciate everyone who keeps watching, listening, and aligning. Enter 77 in the comments section immediately if this frequency resonates with your spirit. That figure isn't arbitrary. It's a holy way of telling the cosmos and the Most High that you're ready. Ready to take on the great task that heaven has been preparing you for, to walk in the overflow and to bear the blessing? Not everyone will read this message all the way through. Only those who are really selected. Those who remain will experience a greater sense of clarity, awareness, and prophetic insight into the burden you are bearing, its significance, and its impending transformation into irrefutable favor. You don't hear something once and then forget it. This is a live word that is developing piece by piece like a spiritual blueprint. Every time you follow your spirit, watch it again, because an additional layer of divine truth about the scope of your vocation and purpose will emerge. Let's get started. Chapter 1. The burden of fame is not for the weak. Selected 1. It is never light when God bestows a blessing that is linked to destiny. You cannot perfectly fit this kind of gift into your life without it altering who you are. There are many levels to this kind of blessing. Pleasure, of course, but also accountability, self-control, and the need to follow a more direct route. It's the difference between a mantle that changes the course of history and a gift intended for personal delight. You have entered into a unique gift. Not simply a prayer has been answered. It is a trust from God. As heaven looks at you, it says, I can place this in your hands and know you won't waste it. That trust carries a burden that most people will never experience or comprehend. The purpose of certain blessings is to facilitate living. Others are designed to position you for influence, to get you ready for war, and to have a lasting impact that extends far beyond your lifetime. The latter has been delivered to you. It explains the tug you've been feeling recently and your ongoing realization that this season is unique. Since you realize deep down that this isn't just about you, you may even feel caught between joy and sobriety. There are names associated with this blessing. People you will eventually assist, places you will eventually construct, and systems you will eventually challenge. You will break generational curses just by properly bearing this mantle. Others may only see the obvious signs, such as the resources that seem to come out of nowhere, the promotions, the open doors, and the favor. They share in your joy, but they're not burdened by the personal burden of bearing something holy. The prayers you've had to say at midnight to keep your heart in alignment are only known to you. Glory always has a weight, and only you know the times you've asked yourself, God, why me? Why does this feel so heavy? The mission associated with a benediction increases with its weight, and that same blessing would ruin anybody who attempted to bear it but was not rooted in God. In the absence of prayer, obedience, and humility, the weight of grandeur crushes rather than rises. This explains the length of your preparatory season. For this favor to not merely fall into your lap, but to stay in your life without harming you, you had to be put to the test, cleansed, and fortified. God isn't only providing you with pleasure. You are becoming a custodian of something everlasting because of Him. Now is not the time for you to have more. You're going through a phase of growing. Heaven sees your shoulders, which are now strong enough to bear the weight that was before too heavy for you, while the audience sees the brightness. You were distinguished for this reason. The journey was difficult because of this. You couldn't skip the procedure because of this. The burden of fame is not for the weak of heart. It is intended for those who can bear it without becoming soulless. And you were picked by God for this. Type amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Chapter 2. God knows your heart. Therefore, He trusted you with this. Hear me, chosen one. Blessings from God are not given out at random like carnival prizes. Because heaven thought you could manage it, every burdensome blessing you now bear was measured, weighed, and matched to you. This isn't a coincidence. It's not luck. This is the prize for a tried and true heart, a tested spirit, and a history of obedience when it was difficult. It took time for you to prepare for this moment. It was constructed during the silent years and secret times when you questioned if God even noticed your loyalty. It occurred when you were honest in situations when lying would have helped you advance. It occurred when you decided to put integrity ahead of immediate satisfaction. It occurred when you had the opportunity to compromise your morals for your own benefit, but chose not to. God has been keeping an eye on you at times when no one else was aware of it. He saw your last moments because you knew it was the correct thing to do, not for attention. When your own strength failed, He heard the prayers you muttered in the dark. When you were in need, He saw you helping others. You may think of all those times as deposits into the bank of paradise. This benefit you now possess is the abundant repayment of interest. Here's the reality. The burden of obligation increases with the size of the blessing. A lot of individuals want the crown, but they are unable to handle the responsibility. They can't take the strain, yet they want the platform. They want wealth, yet they will allow greed to stifle its very purpose. God cannot afford to entrust unreliable people with great rewards. However, your hands have been conditioned by both plenty and scarcity. You now know how to accept blessings without becoming so enamored with them that you lose sight of their source. You've shown that you won't idolize the blessing above the one who bestows it. You've shown that you won't let pride to overrule your emotions, regardless of how high God raises you. You have shown that you can have riches without allowing it to corrupt you, influence without misusing it, and power without stifling those under you. God put something heavy in your care for this reason, because He is aware that you will not throw it away, squander it, or turn it into a monument for yourself. Instead, you'll utilize it to uplift others, shatter bonds, and further the kingdom, exactly as heaven intended. Remember the one you've picked. More valuable than any material possession is God's confidence. Cash may come and go. It is possible to offer and accept opportunities. However, when heaven has faith in you, you become a storehouse for heavenly tasks. You become a custodian of resources that have the power to transform lives and a safe haven for God's secrets. Few people prepare their hearts to be trusted with benefits, even if many pray for them. You allowed God to shape you, not simply pray. You allowed Him to take away everything that would have undermined you at this level, not just wishful thinking. And now you stand here, entrusted as well as fortunate. In actuality, you are not the only recipient of this favor. You're being passed by it. And God picked you because He is aware that it will stay in line with His plan even when it is in your hands. It takes a lifetime of demonstrating that your heart beats more for Him than for anything else in this world to earn that sort of trust. Chapter 3. The blessing is accompanied with conflict. Hear me, chosen one. The environment surrounding you changed the instant God gave you this favor. You may have assumed that after the breakthrough, everything would be easy. In actuality, however, here is where the real battle starts. The spiritual realm pays attention whenever God expands your domain. Heaven rejoices. Angels are all around you. However, hell simultaneously strengthens its hold on each territory it believes it controls. What you already carry is more than a simple improvement. It's a tool to combat evil. The adversary has designated you as a high-priority target as a result. This explains why the resistance seems so abrupt and strong. You could suddenly see odd delays, unforeseen disputes, and a change in people's conduct toward you that defies reasoning. Those who used to stand by you can suddenly seem aloof. Suddenly, doors that seem to be open may shut. Even formerly straightforward issues might seem needlessly complex. It's not in your brain, and it's not random. You are seeing the spiritual realm's response to divine promotion. The blessing's weight has sparked resistance. Know this: battles and blessings are inextricably linked. The adversary improves his strategy of attack each time God raises you. The blessing you've been given is unique. It has a connection to a cause that will impact lives much beyond yours. And if you really walk in it completely, the adversary is afraid of what may happen. He is aware that this gift will destroy his strongholds in families, towns, and even future generations if it is used as God intended. He is making a concerted effort to divert your attention, demoralize you, or cause you to question if you are prepared for what you have been handed. Here's the reality, however. Your current struggle does not indicate that you are in the wrong location. It is proof that you are in the very place that God has intended for you to be. The resistance is louder when the blessing is heavier. The assaults are more persistent the larger the task. But you shouldn't be scared of this. You should feel more confident as a result, because heaven has already proclaimed something strong over your life, only by virtue of hell's angry reaction. Only things that endanger him are attacked by the adversary. And you do pose a danger to the chosen one. You pose a danger to everything he has been attempting to establish against you and your family. His plans are often disrupted by you. Additionally, every setback you have helps you grow. This goes beyond simple combat. It's a training session. Your insight, perseverance, and ability to protect the things that God has entrusted to your care are all being strengthened by the resistance. Not only are you blessed, you're getting strengthened to bear its weight. Yes, the battle will seem draining on some days. However, keep in mind that the same God who bestowed this favor will not abandon you. You are not waging this war alone. It is the Lord's. You have been assigned angels. The resources of heaven are on your side. Every assault will ultimately prove your heavenly protection, and every weapon used against you will fail. Hold your ground, then. Just because the fight is tough doesn't mean you should abandon the blessing. Its weight is evidence of its worth. Its influence is shown by the resistance. And after this season is complete, you will see that the things the adversary intended to hurt you, instead, made it possible for you to walk in even more power. Chapter 4. Your name is not as important as the purpose. Selected 1. Even though heaven's pen may have etched your name on this blessing, it was never intended to end with you. It seems too huge for your hand because it was always intended to flow through you, not just to you. God didn't give you this task so you could say, "Look at what I have." Instead, he put it in your life so you could say, "Look at what God can do." You are a live conduit for heaven's plan, a moving vessel. The ultimate objective is not the blessing. It is the mission's equipment. Furthermore, that objective extends much beyond your own tale. You're a part of a much bigger story that God has weaved, one in which your compliance turns becomes the solution to unheard prayers. Additionally, your faith opens doors to miracles in areas you've never been. People are waiting on the other side of your affirmative response. What you carry has an impact on whole families, towns, and even entire countries. God has put you in a position to play a significant role in their breakthrough, even if you may not be able to see their faces or know their names. You'll have some influence throughout your lifetime. Some of it will outlast you, establishing a legacy of freedom and favor for future generations. Because it's not just about your life, the blessing's weight might sometimes seem too much to bear. It is about the flow of life itself via you to other people. Those who haven't even been born, you're being helped by your faithfulness now. Right now, your perseverance is like sowing seeds on soil that you will never be able to harvest yourself. Heaven, however, will see to it that it flourishes. Don't forget that God will teach you to look outside your comfort zone more if the task is larger. He will continue to test your limits, not to burden you, but to get you ready. He will eliminate narrow-mindedness and self-centeredness while maintaining your attention on the wider picture. Because a broad task cannot be carried by a restricted perspective. Therefore, don't belittle the weight of the duty. Don't attempt to minimize what God has given you in order to please other people. Since this benefit is greater than you, it should seem larger than you. In the heavenly tapestry that is still being woven, you are a thread, one that links obedience in the now, sacrifices made in the past, and glory in the future. Here's the reality. Heaven will continue to pour in as long as you continue to pour out. Since the goal is not to hoard the blessing, the supply will never run out. It's about advancing it till it touches every life that God intended. Type Amen to embrace the angel's blessings. Show your support by giving super thanks up to $20. Chapter 5. The preparation includes the pressure. Selected 1. You will bear a great deal of responsibility if you're blessed. And that duty carries pressure, weight, and demands. This is the reality, nevertheless, that you must ingrain in your soul. Pressure is not a kind of discipline. It does not prove that God has forgotten you or that you are out of sync. Indeed, it is the mark of confidence from heaven over your life. Consider pressure to be the chisel of the heavenly artist. You are becoming the precise person your task requires with each tap, hit, and scratch. The stretching moments, delays, and trials are not arbitrary. They're surgical. They are made with the purpose of removing fear, severing your reliance on others, and strengthening your spiritual base so that it can support the weight of the glory that is about to fall upon you. If there was no pressure, you would stay at ease. However, destiny has never been born in comfort zones. Movement is forced by pressure. It needs development. It teaches you to strengthen yourself in stillness and awakens you from spiritual complacency. It alters your prayer, discernment, decision-making, and self-presentation. It teaches you discipline. Resilience is something you learn. Even when the ground seems unsteady underneath you, you learn to keep moving forward. Take a look at creation. Because they were exposed to the fiercest winds, the tallest trees have roots that delve deeper into the ground. Years of unrelenting pressure drive rivers to chisel through solid rock. Only in a furnace can gold become pure. Additionally, in the dark, diamonds, the hardest stone, form beneath the crushing weight of the earth. That's what you're going through. Unnoticed, unappreciated, yet indisputable. The adversary will attempt to distort the facts, leading you to conclude that God is quiet or that the pressure indicates that you are losing. On the spiritual level, however, the reverse is true. Those without a destiny are not subjected to unnecessary pressure from heaven, because the elevation would shatter them without the strengthening. God gives people He wants to raise this type of weight. This demonstrates your credibility. Another revealer is pressure. It makes your foundation's flaws visible so they may be fixed before the actual storm hits. Before you can triumph in public, it brings your hidden doubts, anxieties, and insecurities to the fore so they may be addressed privately. It encourages you to depend on God's boundless power rather than your own capabilities. The strong portion comes next. You will eventually give thanks to God for the exact pressure you begged to avoid. When you look back, you'll see that it was meant to shape you rather than break you, because it equipped you to manage blessings, platforms, and obligations that would have overwhelmed the previous version of yourself. It was really a divine acceleration rather than a postponement. Thus, keep in mind that this is not an indication that you are veering off course the next time you feel like life is encroaching on you from all sides. Heaven is endorsing this. God is saying, I trust you to carry this weight, because I trust you with what comes after. You won't just give thanks to God for the benefit when you stand in your appointed position. For the strain that made you unbreakable, you will be grateful to Him.